Joining me here now, getting set for his 25th opening weekend as a head coach in the National Football League, is the head coach of the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid. How are you, Coach?
Rich, I'm doing good. Thank you.
How does that hit you, 25 years as a head coach in the league, Andy?
Well, that means you're old, right? So, but it's been an honor. Every one of those years has been an honor. There are only 32 of us in the whole world that get a chance to do it, and I cherish every day of it.
So, what was your first opening week in the NFL? Can you remember that one for me?
It was a long time ago. I'm not even sure who we played in that game, but um, I'm sure it was very exciting.
It was,
But I
it
can't.
was,
I can't
what
say.
was it in Green Bay? Was that where you were? Were you in
Yeah,
Green
it
Bay?
was Green Bay. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It might have been Cincinnati or one of those.
Okay.
But I'm stretching it way back.
You're hitting the Wayback Machine. Maybe I hit that Wayback Machine button too much. You're focused
Yeah.
on the here and now and the present. How much do you discuss the target that's on your back with your team, or they've been through this before, so they already know?
Yeah, so they know. I mean, they know that it's there. I mean, you really don't have to remind them. They uh, very often they've got a pretty good feel on where they've been and what they've done. When we got into this division here, it was Denver was in the same situation we're in, and we were trying to go get them, right, and so that some of those guys are still around. They know, and um, and they do a great job in the locker room of making sure that's taken care of.
And I'm sure Mahomes is leading the way on that. Has he reached his peak, do you think, Andy, of just that he's reached the saturation point of greatness, that this is the guy we're going to get? Andy, what do you think here?
Yes, yeah. I think Rich with the quarterbacks every year until age takes over, they have a chance to better their game. I joke that it's a little bit like being a farmer, that the work's never done. There's always something you can work on. Probably a little bit like you'd see with with golfers. They've always got something that they can work on. I think it's the same way as a quarterback, and they've and so I would tell you, has he reached it? Well, he's going to try to better it. That's his attitude with it, and I know it's good for he's done a nice job of where he's at, but he's always trying to get himself better.
And so, what do you think, if you could pull on one aspect of his game that you think that you think he can improve on, or he's paying new attention to improve upon, Andy?
Yeah, so it's always that combination of the routes, in particular when you give them new routes, and the coverages and the footwork that go along with that against a different look, the different coverages, making sure our guys are familiar with it. So, reps become important there too. But the footwork is normally where you go with a quarterback, especially if you're continuing to add things into the offense there.
And then, when it comes to him and Kelce, is there any comparison that you may have from your past at any point in time that you've seen a quarterback pass catcher connection like this on a team of yours? Anything like this, Andy?
Well, I'll tell you that they're special that way. And, probably the latest one was Gronkowski and Brady. I mean, they just got done doing this thing. So, but anyways, I know it's they all do it a little different. The combinations do it a little different, and I'm glad we have both of them. And both of them are best friends, and then they both respect their games, and that's a positive thing for us.
One of my favorite screen grabs that I saw recently from the preseason, Coach, is, I guess, the play against Arizona where Mahomes is running. He's got four guys chasing him to his right. That was the one where he threw the ball as he's leaping out of bounds. And Kelce's on the numbers on the opposite side of the field going vertical, waving his hand like he's open, as if he thinks Mahomes has his eyes in the back of his head. I don't know. Did you see? I'm sure you must have seen that on film. And what did you think of when you saw that? What did you think when you saw that?
Well, I was really watching Pat because I thought the defensive guys were going to knock him into the third row there. I mean, it's a preseason game, and he's doing his best Sammy Baugh imitation. But but I did see him. Yes, I did see him, and they've made those kind of plays before, so that wouldn't have been too unusual. But the thing Trav does very well is he works to get himself open. If something breaks down, he's going to find a way to get open, and I know the Lions know about that. So they'll have I'm sure somebody to cover them all over the field, or at least attempt to.
Andy Reid here on the eve of Thursday night's kickoff of the 2023 season. I'm sure you hear about the conversation about the running back market, Coach, and how running backs are not being valued monetarily, certainly to the way that they figure that they should be. And a lot of the conversation is how you can just take kids out of college and throw them in there. And one of the players that gets mentioned when that theory comes to be discussed is Isaiah Pacheco, and how you've taken Jerick McKinnon and done what he can do with him. Do you, in your offense, not focus on having a bell cow? Is that something that you bring to bear when you put a game plan together? I wonder what your philosophy is on all of this, Coach.
Yeah, we look. We try to look for redeeming qualities. I mean, Brett Veach does a great job of this. So look for redeeming qualities that fit into the offense. We value those guys. I mean, they're important to our offense, and I know the market doesn't say that, but that's part of this business. It's a little bit secular that way. 1 year it's going to be the receivers making a ton. Another couple of years down the road, the running backs will be back in there making a ton. This thing goes in a big circle. So it's just at this time, there are some guys like Pacheco and, like you mentioned, McKinnon, that have done a nice job, and they're, and they just didn't happen to be picked in the highest spots.
Andy Reid here prior to kickoff. So let's discuss your passing game and the receivers that you have, Coach, and how the relationship between Mahomes and some of the newer guys that you have there, and how you get that ready for week one where it currently stands.
Yeah, well, listen, we have a lot of no-namers in there that just work hard, and so they're doing a nice job with that. They did a nice job last year with it. So. And like I mentioned, the Lions will be a great test in that area, because they got a heck of a secondary, and they're going to give you a bunch of different looks. So it's important that these no names get themselves in the right position and do their job and do it the best of their ability, like they have in the past.
Then, of course, defensively, you've got your hands full. I'm sure you recall the last time a defense of yours took on Jared Goff under the lights, right, Coach? You remember that night?
I remember a lot of points put up that game. Yeah, he did a heck of a job. We have a ton of respect for him. I think you know that. It's he's a good player. I liked him coming out of college, and I think he's done a nice job in the NFL, and he's found a new place to do it at with the Lions, and he's coming off a great year, and so our guys, again, our secondary's been working like crazy to make sure we cover these good receivers they've got. They've got a California connection there that's pretty good, so they make sure we stay on top of that.
And then, of course, having Chris Jones would be helpful. And I know, this is one of the controllables that you can't control. What is your knowledge about Chris Jones just a couple days before kickoff here, Coach?
What, Rich, Veach does a nice job of just taking care of that. I just worry about coaching the guys I've got. I don't worry too much about the other. I mean, I've got enough to think about just getting ready for this game. So, and my motto has always been, Chris knows this, as the other guys do, that if you're there, we're going to coach the heck out of you. And if you're not, then you're not. So you're not going to be part of it. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. And I've got a lot of trust in our defensive line, and those are prideful guys there, and you see this in sports. It's another man's opportunity to step in and do it if you miss, and And that's the way it is here with Chris not there. The other guys will step in and play.
And then obviously this is not your first rodeo in this regard. Do you reach out to Chris? Have you reached out to him recently at all, Coach?
Yeah, you know what, Rich, I just kind of keep that, I'm not going there with any of that. I let Brett do his business, and then whether I have or haven't, I just let that go. I mean, that's rather not talk about all that.
Sure. And then when you pass Brett in the hallway, do you just like give him an extra stare and say, "What's up?" Do you do that when you see him, or when he calls, you see his number on your phone? What happens?
You know, Rich, I got a lot of trust in him, so I stick true to my feelings on it, and how I go about my business, and with that trust that I have in Brett, he knows that I'm a coach the heck out of whoever's here.
Andy Reid here, a couple minutes left with the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. So how about you? And again, year 25 for you, Andy. How has the league changed since year 1 for you in Philadelphia, now year 25, 11th in Kansas City for you?
Yeah, well, the simplest one I can give you is there's a lot more shotgun, right? Back then we were under center, and for my first few years at Philadelphia, we never got in the gun, and all of a sudden you're back in it. And then the second thing would be the media is way more educated, I think, and I don't mean scholastically. You guys are smart guys, but there's just more knowledge out there of the game. There's not as many secrets with the technology that's out there. So, and the relationships, I think, have actually gotten better with that, which is a little bit crazy, but that part's quite a bit different than when I first got in.
And of course, I know it's not your team, but I don't know if it passed your way, but there was some news out of Los Angeles. Matthew Stafford was talking about his new teammates. It was difficult to get to know these young kids because their faces are in their phones all the time. And that honestly, that it was difficult to just not only communicate with them, but to make eye contact with them. Because as soon as the practice is over, everybody's grabbing their phones. I'm wondering how, you deal with that era of player right now, Andy.
Yeah, so this is why I'm laughing. When I got into the league, there were no cell phones. So I go back even, like you do. We go back a little bit further than that. So,
right.
But you roll with it. And, the guys, that's what they do. The one part about training camp that I love the most about going away, excuse me, is that the guys end up talking to each other. They sit around the dinner table and they talk, they communicate, they go up to their rooms. They've got a room that they talk, and so the cell phone gets put on the side for a second. And they get to communicate verbally, and that's a nice thing, I think, about it.
Then I guess just to bring this all full circle, Coach, is the target on the Chiefs' back. I know you said that your players know that it exists. I mean, you're defending Super Bowl champs, but there is a team coming in that would love to put a Chiefs pelt on their wall. I mean, Dan Campbell, how he came into the league, how he has progressed in this league as a coach, and what the Detroit Lions would love to do and prove to the country that thinks you're about to steamroll them, quite frankly. So how do you address that right now?
Yeah, sure. Dan Campbell, I think, is great for the National Football League. He's done a heck of a job, and I'm happy for him on that. And the one thing, again, I go back to that technology, is we turn on this tape here, and we see how good they are. That's not a secret. And so we know they play extremely hard, and we've got a ton of respect for them. I've got a ton of respect for their coaching staff and what they do there. And so it should be one heck of a game. We don't look at the odds and all that. I can't even tell you what those are. And so I don't care. I just know it's a good football team coming in here. We've got to be ready to play. And so that's what we're working on. And we're taking it day by day as we go here, and making sure that we get our business done.
Coach, appreciate the time. I do cherish when you say yes, when I ring up and say, let's chat. So I greatly appreciate it. And good luck on opening night and throughout the season. Look for more of my calls. Thank you.
Thanks, Rich. You're a great one, man. Appreciate
Thanks.
you.
Appreciate you saying that. That's Andy Reid of the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs before taking on the Lions on Thursday night.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.